Does your company need a chief AI officer? Most companies need the chief AI officer function, but not as a permanent role. The job is real, while AI cuts across every function with no clear owner, but it should usually be a time-boxed mandate, not a new permanent seat. I'm Murray Newlands, partner at IA Seed Ventures and founder of Open Future Forum, which runs small off-the-record dinners for CFOs, CROs, CEOs, CISOs, and CTOs in Silicon Valley, 100 events to date. This comes up at nearly every CEO and CTO dinner I host. The instinct is to copy the move that worked for security and for data. We have a CISO, we have a chief data officer, so surely we need a chief AI officer. I would slow that down and think about it more carefully because the analogy is not as clean as it looks. Here is the honest case for the role. Right now, AI cuts across every function, no single existing executive owns it cleanly, and someone senior needs to set strategy, govern the risk, and stop 10 different teams from buying 10 overlapping tools that do not talk to each other. In that situation, a chief AI officer gives you one accountable person and one throat to choke, while the company figures out how AI fits. That is a genuine value, especially in a large organization where AI is sprawling without coordination. Here is the case against, which is just as strong. AI is not really a department. It is a capability that belongs inside every function, the way the internet did. We did not create and keep a permanent chief internet officer because the internet became part of how everyone worked. The risk of the chief AI officer role is that it becomes a bottleneck that every AI decision has to route through, or a figurehead with a title and no real power, or worse, an excuse for the rest of the leadership team to say AI is not my problem. That is the AI person's job. The moment your CFO or your head of sales stops owning AI in their own function because there is a chief AI officer, you have made things worse, not better. So the real question is not whether you need the title. It is what specific problem you are trying to solve. If the problem is coordination and you have AI sprawl across functions with nobody steering, then yes, put someone senior in charge. But frame it as a transitional role with a defined mandate and an end date. Set the strategy, build the guardrails, get the functions literate and equipped, then deliberately fold the work back into the line where it belongs. If the problem is capability and your functions simply do not know how to use AI yet, a chief AI officer will not fix that. You cannot centralize your way out of a skills gap. That is a training and hiring problem inside each function. And a single executive at the top cannot make 100 people fluent by holding the title. And if the real reason is that the board wants to see you taking AI seriously, hiring a senior title purely to send a signal is the most expensive way to send one. And it usually backfires when the role has no clear mandate and produces a strategy deck instead of results. The companies handling this best tend to do one of two things. Either they give a strong existing executive, often the CTO or a COO, explicit and visible ownership of AI for a defined period on top of their existing role, or they hire a chief AI officer with a clear sunset built into the mandate from day one, so everyone understands the goal is to make the role unnecessary. The answer is rarely a permanent new throne. It is almost always clear, time-boxed ownership of a problem that will eventually live everywhere in the company.